I'm Julie Fei Fan Balzer, and these cards each have a cutout element to create a simple but memorable card. So if you look here at our first two cards, these were all cut using a craft knife, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first thing you need is a card, and all you want to do is you want to take your card and you want to open it, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to draw ourselves a little design on the inside. So this is going to be the front of my card. So I can draw a very simple design, whatever it is, and adding a little bit of a wonky touch is exactly what you want. If you want it to be perfect, you could certainly trace something or anything like that. Then I'm simply going to take my craft knife, and I am working on a self-healing mat. That's really important. You don't want to cut a hole in your table. And then here's the next thing that's important. As I cut, I'm going to actually be turning the card and not the knife. That's going to give you the smoothest cut. Okay? And that's one of the reasons that if you don't want to use a self-healing mat, you could also use a glass mat where things will also glide really easily. So I'm just going to continue to work around, and it's going to be a little rough and wonky, and that's totally fine. That's exactly what you want. That's what a hand-done card looks like. So I'm going to finish that, working it around, and I've smoothed out the center. And then the little triangles, you want to try to always go in little pieces, turning again the card rather than anything else. Because if you turn the knife, then your hand goes at all sorts of weird angles, and I can stab that to lift it out. That's a nice little tip. Okay, and so you can see the beginnings here of this fun cutout. And here's one where I've actually finished it. I've taken the time to do it. I've stamped a little sentiment down here. And then the card actually opens doubly. There's a second card layered inside. That's what creates the pretty pattern, okay? So if you are not a craft knife kind of person, no worries. There's another way to do it. So one of the things you can do is you can take your punches. And all of these cards were cut using punches. And you can see here's a fun little trick with the snowflakes where we have these rhinestones, but they're actually on the inside of the card, which I think is kind of a fun little treat. And of course, you can punch the edges, as you can see here, or just somewhere in the middle. Again, you can use a pattern underneath. It doesn't have to be plain. And I happen to love these glitter cards because it's all the bling without any of the mess. Now the third kind of cut you can do, well, that's with an electronic die cutter. So as you can see here, I have some that I've cut with an electronic die cutter, and this design I love. This is a great thing for those people who feel that they can't draw. I'm going to show you how I designed this. What I did is I simply took some black cardstock, and it works a little bit better if you have a really smooth cardstock. And I'm just going to go ahead and with my scissors, I'm going to cut out some nice wonky little shapes. And then I would simply take a tape runner and adhere that shape onto a piece of white paper. And I could continue to cut out these little shapes. You could also use punches. You could also even, die cut something and then glue it on, but you can create a wonderful composition of all sorts of little bits and pieces. And that's exactly how these cards were cut. And remember, you never have to use the full design. You can also use just a part of the design. And you can see here that the thank you is actually typed on the inside of the card. It's right there. Now these ones are a little bit fancier. As you can see, I've used words and all sorts of stuff, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So why don't we take a card and head over to the electronic die cutter. So I'm at my electronic die cutter, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the sheet, the protective sheet, from the sticky mat. I'm going to open my card. That's really important because I only want to cut through part of it. I'm going to go ahead and smooth it down. Now, I'm going to load it into the machine simply by pressing it up against here and pressing the load button. It's going to take it right in. And then what I want to do is I want to actually create my design. So I'm going to hit pattern, and I'm going to choose from one of the built-in fonts in the machine, and I'm going to just write the word hello. And if I want it to be lowercase, by the way, I can just choose that, and I'm going to say hello. And then I can choose the size that I want it to be, and I want my hello to be a little bit on the small side. So I'm going to hit set, and I'm going to hit OK. But I'm actually, before I hit OK, look at this. This is my mat, but my card is way down here. So I'm simply going to scan in the mat, and then I'm going to be able to see exactly where my card is so I can get perfect placement. This is one of those things that makes it easy to get exactly what you want. So if there was a particular space you wanted it, you could have it in the middle, you could have it at the bottom. The choice is really entirely up to you. So now that this is scanned in, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab this hello, and I'm going to drag it to where I want. Now, this mat is big enough that I actually could have put down 2 cards and be cutting 2 at the same time. So I put it where I want it. I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to ask the machine to cut it. I have my blade set at a 5. You could do it probably at a 4. You want to test before you go. I'm going to go ahead and hit start, and now the machine is just going to take it and it's going to start cutting. Now, one of the things that I think is so great about this is if you wanted to do graduation cards, wedding cards, birthday cards, I mean virtually any occasion where you might have to make a whole bunch, you can just do them all at once without any problem. And the nice thing about having the little cutout on the outside is that it allows you to do some layering. So I'm going to release the mat, and let's pull that card up and see what we've got, shall we? I'm going to pull it right up. Ooh, doesn't that look awesome? And you'll notice that the inside of this card is not at all sticky. That's a great little tip too. So I'm going to walk back over here, and I have to figure out what I want to layer into my hello card. And you know, I'm kind of a magpie, so I love glitter. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose a glitter card. And one of the things I like about these is they have glitter on the front, but not on the back. So I'm simply going to slide it in here. Ooh, look how nice that is. And I have a couple of options here. I can trim it down so that nothing shows on the edge, or I can decide that it's totally fine like this. And then I would simply add adhesive right on the back, fold it up, and I have a beautiful finished cutout card. Super easy.